Hello, everybody. Priya Ranadive at Infinite Potential. You know, very recently I happened to meet some long lost friends of mine, and it was an amazing um, uh, relationship with them once upon a time. But somewhere in the process, we lost contact. And thanks to the social networking sites that we got in touch with each other again, and we decided to meet. So they were not from India, so they were in India for some time. It was just a coincidence, and we just opted on that opportunity and decided to meet. And we'd been out on a small trip on the weekend, and we had a great time. So while I was there with them, enjoying myself, having a good time, we talked about different things, the long lost memories, and the great time that we once had together. And I came across a very interesting word in my conversations with them, and that was simplicity. So we just understood we've not really changed as a person. So, what is it that we define that has not changed? Because if you say I have changed, like tremendously from the time that we'd last seen each other, so like I'm like three times heavier than what I was a years back. But if you ask me if I've changed as a person, then I don't think that much has changed. So when we talk about this change, what we're really talking about is uh, how much have you lost yourself in this process of life? Okay, so when we talk about simplicity, we're not really going to talk about how you dress, how you look, your appearance, and all that. In fact, what we're going to talk about is you connect with yourself. I believe that one really needs to be well groomed and presentable in today's day and age, but that does not mean that you become something else that you are not. So identify that you were born very simple without any beliefs. You're really innocent, but as you grew older, with so many taught beliefs and education and all that, and surrounded by people, you became more analytical, more logical, and you started really becoming more apprehensive in life and developed a lot of fears. And you became somebody that possibly you were not. It also applies to me. So, I thought it'll be an amazing topic to discuss in this video. So, yes, we're going to talk about simplicity. Okay, so how do I define really simplicity? I have written down a few things very quickly so that this video can be short. Simplicity is an act or a state of being where there is an absolute clarity and there's no show off. So, which means you are only indulging into things that you truly believe in, and you're not really doing something to please others, or you're not really trying to show off what you are not. Okay, so for example, I have some things written down here which will help you identify if you have really lost a simplicity in lives, and if at all you connect with this, and if it really makes sense to you, then you can go back to these points and practice them and try and become the version of yourself that you once started your life with, and become more happier. Because I have applied this myself, and it has again kind of created some sort of innocence in me, and made me a better person than I could have been if I hadn't really discovered it. Okay, so first, you don't overspend. Okay, now it's good to have desires and to achieve them at the same time, but we indulge or we buy a lot of things that we don't really require. Okay, just few days back I happened to clear the clutter of my house, and trust me, I found so many things and items lying around which I barely used or never used. Just like these tops, I found some of them with their price tags on. So it was never used. So I understood that we have this urge of buying things or purchasing things that we don't use to its optimum value. Optimum value basically means to its utmost potential, or to its core. from the time that you buy it. So if it is not used, it is just lying there and increasing the clutter of your house and doing nothing good. So you rather give it to someone else, donate it, or rather not buy it in the first place. Okay, another apt example I could really think of is an iPhone. I know of people who buy iPhone for no valid reason. So if you're really using an iPhone for a typical activity like phone calls, messaging, social networking, or photographs and all of that, then that can also be done with any other phone. So why spend so much on an iPhone? So I know of people who have an iPhone, and when I happen to ask them that, what do you really use or do with an iPhone, and they're like, we just have it and that's it. So there's no valid reason. Now, no offense to anybody who owns an iPhone, it's an amazing thing to have, but more than having an iPhone, I think it has become a thing of prestige and to prove a point or to be in the bandwagon of some status quo. So you're not really doing it for yourself, but you want to have it because it's become a trend. So when you're simple, you ask yourself a question: do I really need this? And if I do, is it satisfying my urge, or is it really making me happy, or am I really doing it for someone else? Okay, so if you get an answer that, and we all know deep with it, who knows ourselves better than ourselves. So if you get an answer that you're not really doing it for someone else, but I need to have this because I'm going to be happy, then you definitely go ahead and purchase it or have it, but otherwise it's not really required. So that's one key thing that you need to identify if you want to get back to your simplicity. Second is, you don't pretend to be somebody you are not. An example of this would be my own example. I go out to pubs, I love dancing, and I enjoy a lot with my friends when I'm out, but I don't drink. I don't drink at all. Now, I have lovely friends, they all drink, and they're such gorgeous people in my life. But nobody ever forces me to drink for a simple reason: they know I don't drink. Second, is I don't like the taste of alcohol, and I just don't like that feeling of having the alcohol. So I don't indulge into something that I just don't believe in, or I just don't want to do it from the bottom of my heart. So I don't try to show off because it's a trend that everybody around my age drinks so often and so easily. It's not necessary that I do it as well, just because it needs to be done. So you are doing things that are more comfortable doing for you than actually trying to please somebody else, or trying to be a part of some group, or trying to be a highlight of something which makes no sense to you. Then when I've been told often that I've heard this rather, that when you want to become successful, you only surround yourself with successful people, which is true, that you get a lot of insights from successful people if you want to become a part of one of them. But at the same time, I have observed that you are the most yourself with the people that you truly love being with, and it might not necessarily be the people on your designation or at your level or status. This could be people even below your status. So I personally have great time in my organization with my colleagues who are possibly not as well in designation that I am, or junior level employees, or even the office assistants for that matter. I'm the crazy version of myself with them. So why not be with them? If there's something that helps me to be myself and to enjoy my time, I would rather go ahead and do that than just thinking about being successful all the time, because that'll give me objective towards life, and that'll help me to understand what success is. But if it is actually driving me away from what I am, then I'd rather be also with the people that I once grew with. Okay, so it's very important to keep connect with people that you once had your best times with. Then you show kindness to most of the people. Now, for example, you have a huge car which is amazing, but then you don't treat your driver that well because he's not in the same status quo as you are. So do you think you're simple? You're not, because you have to be respectable to all the people, irrespective of what position they are in. So you were born that way, to be kind, but then when you grew up you were taught about rich, poor, the difference and all that, and then you became a changed version of yourself, versus there's no serious reason of why you would want to differentiate and not show kindness. Then you believe in honesty, integrity, loyalty. uh, I see so many young couples these days having multiple affairs, and there's no serious reason why you should have one. Okay, it's like so having multiple affairs serves you what? It serves nothing technically, if you see. Okay, but you're really cheating on somebody. And when you're simple, you would always do things that you would want others to do for you, or treat you in the way that um, um, you want to be treated. But when you're not really simple, it's very easy for you to hurt people, or to do things that will cheat others and become disloyal and dishonest. Some of us are into professions of financial services who have great knowledge, and they can actually cheat people who don't have knowledge into that domain and make a lot of money. But they don't do that because there are some core values that are still intact, and that makes them believe that this is a wrong way, and they don't indulge into anything like that, which is amazing. So simplicity is about connecting to your core values and what you truly believe in, and actually expressing that, and showcasing that in your real life. So for your own gain, you don't really become dishonest or cheat on people, is what is simplicity. You don't show off in a way that if you don't have a lot of money and you want to go out where with your friends, and where a lot of money is required, so you don't just go out borrowing, arranging money for that outing, but you rather tell the facts to your friends that you don't have so much money and you can't be going out. So you don't try to show off something that you don't have, or which is not a fact. So it's a simple thing that you don't have money right now to go for that outing, and you avoid going, or you tell them the fact that you don't have money at that point in time. It'll be great if they can arrange for you, but otherwise you don't do that because you want to do something, and then you are borrowing money from them. Okay. And you wear anything that you really need. It could be from the streets, it could be anything. So you're again not very brand conscious, or you're not really so conscious of what people are going to talk about. You were safe in not wearing non-branded clothes, non-branded items. If that's what you can afford and still be presentable, then it's good for you. Okay. Then you believe in a structured way of doing things. There are so many shortcuts to success in these days that I've seen at workplace. A lot of people try to be in the good books of the managers, which is fine to a certain extent, but that's not the only way for success. You have to enhance and develop your own skills and knowledge to have your promotions and to go ahead in your professional career. But if you only rely on these things, then possibly you're not simple, because you were not born that way to manipulate somebody, but you were actually born to become a better version of yourself. But if you're not doing that and only relying on shortcuts like favors, or being the best for your manager, and always being around and trying to please for your own gains, then possibly you're not simple, and you need to think on that. Then So you believe that you want to grow your skills and knowledge and really put in a lot of efforts for your own enhancement and skills development to achieve success and faster gains. um, you feel involved in things that are wrong in front of you. uh, if something's wrong happening in front of you, some kind of injustice, then you would want to be a part of it, and you feel some kind of disturbance within yourself. It's not that you're not affected. You don't become least bothered about what's happening around you. So it's like your friend is in trouble and you're not affected, then possibly you're not simple. It's because you have those feelings, those emotions intact in you about feeling for the other person when in trouble, and you would genuinely want to offer and help. You value relationships, so it's not just about achieving success and being with your friends and all of that. It's also about your family. You're working hard, you earn your income, and you come back to your family. So if you've not really made any contact with your family for the longest time, then you must try and build one, to check on them, to check on your long lost friends, like I did, and it was such an amazing time. The best things, I'll share you an experience. I was in my very early days of life, when I was 1 or 2 years old, I was living in Moscow, and recently I happened to be somewhere close to Moscow, and went to that place to just check on. And trust me, that place is nowhere close to what I'd seen of it while I was growing up, but some things are still intact, like a temple I remember, and it was such a beautiful temple, and it still is. And it just brought back so many memories of me, my siblings playing there, and my friends. And I kind of tried to recollect the names of my friends and what really happened to that place and how it really developed into this gorgeous new place. It was a very small house that we were living in, but it just brought back so many memories, and it just kind of instantly connected me to myself. And I thought, oh my god, we've come so far in life, from that small house to the house in Andheri, and then getting married, having kids, and all that. So when you do things like these, it instantly connects you to the more simple version of yourself, and it just brings out so many emotions of where you really started your life from. One I think one needs to do this practice and indulge into such activities from time and again to help yourself connect to yourselves. We have made connections outside, but we've lost the connection within ourselves. So we've lost that innocence and that simplicity, as we're talking about. Then you feel very happy and ecstatic with small achievements. So it's not always necessary about the big things that you have, but you also treasure the small achievements. It's like in today's day and age, having a scooter is a very basic thing, but for somebody who could not afford even that and is able to have it, is a huge achievement. So it's not about the great things, a big house, a big car, and things like that. Even if you're able to have the small things, the small phone, which a 10,000 rupees phone, which you're able to afford from your salary the first time, something that you've achieved on your own or purchased on your own, still gives you the same amount of happiness than otherwise what could have you felt if you achieve the great things in life. So you see, it's not always about the big things. It's not always about success and being with the great of the people, doing great things. It's also about the simple things. Trust me, life is much simpler than we think it is. We've made it very complicated ourselves, and we have in the process really lost connect with ourselves. So from this video, I'm believing that you might have got some insights of what really simplicity is, and you must have identified different ways of really connecting to yourself and becoming a simpler version of yourself once again. So if you think that it really makes sense to you and you have become very analytical and very goal oriented and focused, then you really might want to give yourself some time off from your life right now and get back to your roots, from where you really started your life, and try and be happy once again, and practice kindness, simplicity, not spending for unnecessary things, rather investing in yourself. I say that investing because if you take up classes, certification, something that will enhance your skill, that is an investment, because you are going to invest in yourself, and who can make your life better than yourself? So rather than spending on things that you don't require, you spend on yourself, which is an amazing investment. So that is again simplicity, realizing that you are above all in this universe, and you were what you were born with, but you were manipulated by all the self beliefs around you, and you might want to connect with that again and practice simplicity in its true sense. So thank you so much, everybody, and if this video has made some difference to you, then give it a thumbs up, and have a great day. Thank you.